welcome back to another live Witches Chat. If you have not already, go ahead and hit that bell icon so you get all the notifications of when I go live and or post videos. Okay, so what is up? We'll wait until some people get, you know, they start sending out those notifications. By the way, people, this is going to be a very interesting live because I actually feel really fucking great today. I got to feed the crows, which they have not stopped by yet. I got to feed the thing. Anyways, hi, hello. I am Fire Lotus. If you did not know, I've been doing these for about 3 to 4 years now. In these lives, we basically talk about everything revolving spirituality, paranormal, Appalachian folk magic, Southern conjure, um, witchcrafts, mysticism, basically everything except for world events and or politics. I originally created these as not only escape from me to get out of like the agoraphobia that I have, but to also create a community to where people can just completely uncheck from like current world events and just hang out. And so far, they're doing really, really well. I was actually shocked. I looked back at some of my lives that I've done so far on here, and pretty good viewing, around 80 to 60, 68 to like 80 views, like in a 24-hour period. So that's really, really good. Also, holy shit, I actually did a lot after that live that I did yesterday. I I slightly, here's a funny story of not a witch fell, but just a fucking ADHD fell. So me and time management are really, really bad. As in, hello, as in I don't understand the concept of time. 5 minutes to me can seem like an hour, right? So I laid out chicken yesterday, like I normally do. I laid it out, marinated it, and I kind of forgot that it was in the stove for about 4 hours. It didn't get really hot here, but I cooked it, and in the process of cooking it, my brain was like, "Yeah, you're not gonna eat this. This is bad." So I googled everything, like I searched everything, like what's the safeties and temperatures and stuff like that. Okay, sweet. I hope you have a great day. Whew, I just knocked over a shit ton of things. So like I called my partner because normally if I get stuck in my head and like I question my decision, good morning, I'll ask him. And he's like, you do realize the more you're talking about this, the more I am unsure if we should eat the chicken. So after cooking it, which I cooked it in a little bit of white rice. Oh my god, it's so good. White wine. Yeah, we decided not to. So cats are getting it. And before anybody says anything, yes, I cooked it. Obviously, if you cook with alcohol, you cook it out, so it's not going to hurt the cats. But the cats are going to have a really, really great supper tonight. um, but I also take that as like my intuition was like, don't eat this, because like I said, normally I've never done that with meat before. So yeah, random story. But I actually successfully finally fucking did it. On top of that, I also rearranged and cleaned my altar. Holy shit. Yeah, this right here, epic fucking failure. The 5 minute craft shit, I've actually seen people make these, right? Epic failure. Ah! Hold that thought. Look who is there. I know some of y'all are gonna get way tired of this. I'm sorry. I'm obsessed with it. Okay. Let's get this back. Ah! There we go. Okay. But multiple reasons this did not work. I am going to melt this all down and retry it again. Um so for one, if y'all did not know what you do with this, good morning. Basically, there was a hack to create like this second burn, almost I call it like an infinity candle, which is basically you wrap a wick around a toilet paper holder, stick it in the middle, secure this, and basically it was supposed to completely wrap around and then it sets so you can burn it right here and then it melts down and creates this one, right? Did not work. You want me to tell you why? I measured this out to where this entire candle should have been full of wax. The stupid thing right here sucked in most of the wax. Now I'm still going to try to burn it. Um, and the reason I wanted to do this, though, was because I think if I could actually successfully do it, imagine the capabilities of a spell candle like that. So many capabilities of having a spell or having a candle to where you have one meaning in the center And then as that burns down and ignites the other one, it releases a whole different charade of energy. And it completely, absolutely failed. So, which it's fine because wax is reusable. So I'm going to burn it down and try it again. Also with that, also finally fixed my altar to where the little house spirits that we have will not fuck with it right now. And I'm actually shocked. Like, has anybody else, when you redo your altar, because I take pictures, I'm a photographer, so I take pictures of most of my work. And I love being able to like go back 5 years and see my tiny little altars versus now and how like different they are different, how different they look. I mean, I've set up altars in all different types of ways. But for somehow I always wind up going back to having a dresser as an altar. I don't know why. I think that's because my first altar was a dresser. Now I even have an outside altar, and here is a cool little trick for anybody that comes across this. Um, the old house, when we were moving from the old property before we moved here, there was this entertainment center, and I don't know where they got it. I honestly thought it was just like fake wood, like that cheap shit. Holy shit, it was not. So when we moved, we didn't take it with us because it was kind of old. It had been there for years. And my partner was like, all right, just throw it in the pile. And I was like, no, I'm getting the sides of it. And he's like, why? I created an outdoor altar with it. I've never showed it because it's big as fuck. And it's heavy, but literally the only thing that I did was I grabbed this side. So like, say you have a bookshelf, right? A miniature bookshelf. Grab the sides to them. And then with the feet of the actual entertainment center, I drilled some holes in it. And now I have an altar table that I can use outside. And it's like this, antique looking-ish wood because I stressed wood out. If you did not know that, you can, and it's very fun and very easy to do as well. And then I just painted a pentagram on it. So, and then I outlined that with black. But yeah, so, okay. There's something that I want to talk about, but at the same sense, I don't know if I should. But actually, no, I will without mentioning any names or anything like that. So, story of intuition, right? I'm one of those people that I can read people very, very well. Now, if we want to look at this as a mundane way, then yes, it's due to the environment that I grew up in where I know I can read a room and read an energy and read the people. Well, certain apps that we have, you get to see hundreds of thousands of people. And a lot of people, when I say what I'm about to say, they're going to be like, that's rude. Or like, which is basically just seeing a small video, I can tell the intentions or energy of a specific person. There's a really, really big creator that basically people praised. And then other people did not praise due to the fact that as they were making and growing, they started to slightly change. And it went from slight educational to just bashing content. I also had mentioned that last year, actually, leading up until the first Mercury retrograde that we had here, that people on the app, on certain apps, needed to watch out because a lot of the retrogrades that we're having this year, specifically with Mercury, are going to be in air signs. What does that mean astrologically? From what I understand, it does. Basically, a lot of truths or a lot of lies or falsehoods will be corrected and the truth will be revealed. This particular creator just experienced that hands-on. That's all I'm saying about it because there are actual victims and I'm not taking away from those victims. And it's also not my part to speak on it. But when you come across anybody online, in a way, it's like the situation that my partner taught me that I've been teaching other people. When you go about a situation, take yourself out of the equation emotionally and look at it as a third party who's just passing by and then react to it. The same thing needs to be done with following people. What do I mean by that? With me, for one, I'm never going to tell you, yes, I may make videos of saying you should totally go follow these people because they're amazing. But at the same time, I would never be like, yo, go attack these people or anything like that. So when you come across a creator, if you see one video, watch multiple ones of their videos. And I know this for a fact because there was a creator that I pushed up, and that bit me in my ass. So, with that being said, I wanted to talk about that. So, also, I wanted to talk about a very interesting thing. Now, I normally do not talk about world politics or world events, and I'm not really, but in order for me to get this across, I do have to talk about it a little bit. And this is not just from me. This was inspired by 2 other people, which is right now we're in a very, very hard time. Why is that? Because it's almost like we're feeling remorse because we're here and what else is going on in the world. And online, when it comes to content, a lot of people feel mixed feelings about like if we should just carry on our day. Now, I talked about that a little bit earlier, and it dawned on me that yes, we should. Now, with that, you can use your platform to obviously, show attention to what is going on, but you can also use your platform as a distraction. What do I mean by this? Especially if you are a spiritual and or a witchy content creator, we're like very conflicted because even the communities themselves are kind of all over the place and all of that. But at the same time, a lot of creators use apps to get views. Those views eventually rake in money. And at the end of the day, no matter what's going on outside of the world, we have bills that have to be paid. And I know as a spiritual person and a witch, I hate that. I've always hated the aspect of money and the way the world is based upon that. Like, I so wish we could go back to like bartering and trading, hopefully one day. But at the end of the day, money makes the world go round. There are bills, and yes, what is going on over there is 10 times worse than what's going on over here. But we also have to recognize that us as a country, financially, it's hard for everybody. I've know people now that are having to work 4 to 5 jobs. By the way, if you're one of those people, more props to you because I have no idea how y'all can do that. I saw something on your TikTok about the properties of Rose of Jericho water, putting the water in war water, and that you were going to be doing a YouTube video about it. Is that in the works? Well, yes. I will actually make that today because I've talked about it on here. I should have grabbed that. But yes, I will make a video about how to basically do it. Now, with that, my recipe of war water may be different from what you learned and or from what you heard online. Good morning. But yes, I definitely will be making a video on that today. I'm slowly starting to get more organized and making sure I either like remind me in my phone to remind me to do something or I write it down. But yes, now I have not actually been able to use that war water yet, thankfully, because, well, no situation has came up to where I needed to. An interesting fact for the people that have not worked with war water yet. Appalachian magic-wise, or Appalachia magic-wise, there's something that a lot of people do not teach about that. And it's kind of that, like, in a way that I view it, it's like, when your ancestors, when they tell you not to do something, you're going to do it anyways. And I'm like, well, you're about to find out. Of course, with war water, if you go to use it in a situation that you are not justified in, which means you are the person in the wrong, but you're still doing it, it will backfire in your face. If you use war water and a couple other things that is used in Appalachian magic, if you use it and you are not right in that situation, it will bitch slap you. So please do remember that. But the reason that I wanted to do this experiment is because a Rose of Jericho is also known as a resurrection rose. Basically, it can literally survive hundreds of years without water. And then the slightest drop of water, it bursts back to life. So I was like, okay, well, if we take those attributes of the war water and we mix that with basically, okay, so war water, from what I was taught and learned, you were supposed to get it from like a pond, a swamp, or a lake. It's supposed to be dirty and mucky, right? And then you add nails. Specifically, they needed to be rusted nails, and more on traditional stance, they were primarily coffin nails. You soak that in water, and every now and then you have to burp it, aka it oxidizes it. And then the most important key, if you can, now if you do not live in a southern state, I don't actually know if I'm pretty sure there's an alternative, but here in the southern states, we have Spanish moss, and that is heavily used in practices, especially if you can get Spanish moss from a cemetery. But I will have to ask a couple of people if there is an alternative for using that if you cannot get your hands on Spanish moss. But you basically take that water, the mucky lake water, add the nails and Spanish moss to it. That is the recipe that I was taught. Obviously, you can add your own herbs and spices to it, but I'm also that person, like, if there's nothing wrong with it, why fix it? So I was thinking about that, and then I was like, wait, what if instead of using lake water, you use Rose of Jericho water? So theoretically, like magic theory speaking, that means that that property would have a reoccurring energy, almost like a, well, nonstop battery. Does it work like that in theory? I'm hoping. But there are also multiple other things. You can use war water for protection. You can make a small jar and put it on your altar. Now, originally, war water is going to have a reddish color to it, like a reddish, rusty color. But if you have it on your altar and it goes from rusty to like pure tea black, from what I understand with this and the lore behind war water is basically it means that somebody tried throwing something your way, but the war water took the blunt of it. Spanish moss can be bought at Walmart in the floral crafting section. Oh, thank you. I did not know that. Now, I did find out something weird. Do you know people sell Spanish moss and it can go for $10 per pound? Also, if you handle Spanish moss from outside, please be careful because you're going to invite red bugs. And if you don't know what red bugs are, I don't know the scientific name. I've always called them red bugs. They're these tiny, tiny little bugs that get up under your skin. And basically well, from what I understand, you have to basically suffocate them out. Traditionally, wow. We used Vaseline oil or, there's another thing that my family had, and it was like a bomb, basically, but you put it on there, and it suffocates it. And the reason these red bugs are fucking annoying is because they're already going to make you itch, but the more you itch it, the more you irritate it. And they love Spanish moss. So please be careful with that, especially also with ticks. We do not want Lyme disease. We do not want the other diseases that can come from ticks. So, but yes, that is the idea behind this Resurrection War water. I'm also hoping that I don't get put into a situation where I have to use it, but these are the things that we need to start doing. Like, we need to start experimenting because that's also what part of being a witch is. Now, yes, it would be cool if it was like in Harry Potter where, like, you do this and it actually explodes. That stance, there'd be a lot of people with a lot of missing limbs. But, I digress. And I do have multiple other little experiments that I'm running, behind the scenes, if you will, which is what this was supposed to be, but it failed dramatically. All right, the crows are loving the dirt. Wow. Also with that, I was listening to a podcast and credit that podcast. It will be, posted in the comments below. It's a great podcast to check out, by the way. And I think it's called Wild Witchcraft or Witchcraft Wilding. No, I'm thinking of something else. Anyways, in this podcast, they were talking about traveling witches. And they mentioned something specific that I'd never thought about before. So remember how I talked about if you can get to a power point, basically crossroads or any other powerful land, but you can't actually go there. Damn, I need to start selling the moss in my French. I thought the same thing. I was like, I could totally sell this, but I have too many red wires to jump through to actually be able to start processing and selling things. But I mean, hey, you never know. It's definitely something to look into. Oh my God, my brain. What was I talking about? War water, spells, doing thing, clear nail polish. Huh? Was I talking about clear nail polish? Ah! Candle, experiment. Oh my God, brain. Working with the crows. Ah! There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Had to redirect the train. Okay, so I was listening to the podcast, and they mentioned traveling witches. So, we've already talked about biolocation as in collecting this dirt from the crossroads, bringing it back to your house, and opening the crossroads from that point. So basically, look at it as you're opening a tiny portal from your property to that property, right? Airport dirt. What is an airport? Where literally people go in and leave from, but from all around the world. So theoretically, airplane dirt would be a mega crossroads. I have no idea why that blew my mind, but I started thinking about it and I was like, holy shit, you're right. And if you want to break that down to a smaller scale, everybody walks around in shoes. Shoes attract dirt and rocks. Those dirt and rocks also travel from one location to the other location and land there. So theoretically, with that speaking, the crossroad dirt that you would be collecting from an airport would theoretically have pieces of dirt and rocks and other debris from all across the world. Yes. Now, speaking of Earth, this is going to be a little bit more, but it has been on my mind for the past 2 weeks. I've tried making countless videos, and I could never get it out the way that I picture it in my head. So, we know Earth is extremely grounding, right? We all know this. A lot of people don't know, though, is, thank you. Yes, I am going to have that podcast, in the comments. But, a lot of people also don't realize that you can send negative energy, if you will, into the earth for the earth to kind of cleanse it and recycle it and then kind of dispute it out, right? Now, I'm a candle witch. Duh, I'm a fire witch. I love burning my things. But with current world events, we need to use the earth. I don't know why, but I keep picturing almost like those the videos you see where people are just emotionally letting all of that shit out and just like hammering it into the ground. Imagine if everybody did that. Imagine, and I don't know why this is like will not leave my brain, but all I imagine is like creating a circle and like putting headphones in and listening to music that hypes you up, but also can put you into that, we'll say, wild stage, right? Wild state emotionally. Gather all of that up and then in one center focus, thrust it into the ground. And for some reason, when that thought came to me, it was like protection. And then I started thinking about it, and it does make sense because what are they currently doing now? They're on the ground. They are foot soldiers. And I know I would not talk about this as the last thing I'm going to say about this. But imagine if instead of, sending the energy like we know of as burning a candle and it going out into the cosmos, why don't we use the earth in itself for the earth or for the people of said earth? And I don't know why I've never thought about this before, and it may be a very, very simple thought, but I love it. So theoretically, I should keep the dirt I sweep up in my house. Yes. I actually do. I have a small little jar that I keep dirt that I've collected in my house. But yes, 100% yes on that. And dirt can be extremely powerful. Like my ultimate goal is to be able to, hopefully one day in the future, travel to specific locations or make friends in those locations to get me to send me dirt from specific locations all around the world. Now, there's also a Facebook page that I'm going to be sharing with this video because they literally took my idea, and obviously they had this store before I came up with this idea, but I found it, and I fucking love it. This witch travels all around the world and collects dirt, water. He has lightning-struck wood that has been struck over 100 times. He has swamp war water from one of the swamps here in Florida where a war was actually fought in, and his prices are actually pretty affordable. He has dirt from a monk's fucking sanctuary from around the world. He has dirt from a witch's house that was actually in one of the witch trials. He has dirt from Dracula's castle. Now imagine tapping into the energies of these. because it's just like we talked about, like oak leaves. Oak leaves are very, very good to use in your practice. But if you live in any state that can be affected by a hurricane, on top of collecting that water, the next time, which hopefully it does not happen, but if you have any damage on your property of a tree limb being slammed into the ground or a tree limb falling over, collect that immediately when it is safe to do. Why? Those leaves, that dirt, that impact of that dirt, that one area has the psychokinetic energy of that storm mixed in with it. Now, with that being said, if you do decide to collect hurricane water, good morning, there are things that you need to be very careful with. For one, basically, in a sense, collecting hurricane water is almost like collecting lightning in a bottle. You're going to be able to contain it for a shorter period of time, and then it's going to shatter. Now, with that being said, I still have an entire bottle of hurricane water from Durin, and that was what I used when I fucked up royally. If you were going to use it, it is very, very great for cleansing. For like cleansing baths. Very great for that. You could even use it for a cleansing spray. But if you start using this water mentally and your intention needs to be set, because the one and only time I used this water, I used this water on me, our property got hit by a freak storm. So definitely do that, but it worked. It is so powerful. I took a bath and you know how you hold like a shell up to your ear? I'm not close to a hurricane, but my area gets tornadoes. Would that be similar? Yes, it would. Yes, 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 yes. Not just hurricanes. Any type of massive storm system, yes. If you have any property or if you can get to anything that has been struck by a tornado, yes. The thing that I'm still looking for, which I already have, I have an amazing friend. Shout out Mindy. Before she moved, when she lived here, she sent me a box of goodies. In that goodie box was things that she foraged because there was a cedar tree that got struck by lightning next to her property. Not only did she send me some of the remains of that, she also sent me some of the rocks that were also near that and some of the sand. Forge water? I actually don't know what that is. I don't think I know what that is. And if so, I've never heard it by that term. But yes, things like that, you can tap into the energetic force. But just know, when you think of a chaotic witch or chaos magic, not what it actually is, that's what it is. Working with storm magic is extremely wild, but incredibly cool. And if you're anybody like me, where my entire life is organized chaos, it can do a lot of things. Now, with that, storm water can be extremely potent in baneful magic. Now, before you do this, I would exert every single other option before you can. This is going to lead into another conversation that we need to have as well. But if you were to get a picture and or a physical object or a personal object of somebody that has been fucking with you or something like that, and or write their names down, all their information that you need so you can tag lock that, and then you put it in a bottle and just shake the shit out of it. When I tell you it will radically affect their lives, it will radically affect their lives. Imagine a mini hurricane. So like we've seen the images of like the depressed people where they have like the storm clouds over them. Instead of a storm cloud, imagine that's a hurricane. Imagine what that could do. Now, the reason I keep focusing on this, tornadoes also go into this because hurricanes and tornadoes are extremely weird. I started doing elemental magic last year with my 8-year-old. My entire street thinks I'm crazy for what we've watched. Oh, that is awesome! And same, my neighbors also think I'm crazy. But it's cool because they think I'm the crazy to where they will not approach me. They may stop and stare, but they won't approach me. But the reason hurricanes and tornadoes are very, very fascinating, even in a meteorological stance, they basically have a mind of their own. What do I mean by that? We've seen hurricanes completely do things that meteorologist-wise, they're not supposed to do, but they do. Like when I hear the old ones or when I hear elementals, water from a blacksmith forge. Oh my God. No, I've not heard of that, but now my mind is going in all different places. Because if you work with the Witch Father, you theoretically could use that to also give him as an offering because of the whole lore with the forgemen and the... You just blew my mind. Thank you. With being instinctual and a bit chaotic magic, I'm getting more and more into dirt, fire, and storm energy. Oh, with the storm energy. And I don't know if this is actually a correspondent. I've never seen it, but, and I encourage y'all to do this too. The ex that I had who taught, fuck it, I'm just gonna say his name. Bryce was his name. He's the one that taught me the energy exercises to, like, actually start advancing my energy work. And one of the other things that we did, and you could do this for kids, it'd be perfect for kids, but write this stuff down because you're also about to start using and making your own correspondences, right? He handed me a piece of amethyst and he goes, "What are the first things you think of when you hold this?" I said storm and lightnings, right? And then an amplifier. Amethyst is an amplifier. It can amplify other crystals and it can also help amplify your own energy. So the tip to that is grab some crystals and forget everything you've ever been taught about them, and then hold them in your hand, and everybody else involved in your family or circle that, you know, is witchy, and ask them, hold it in their hand, close their eyes, and ask them what are the first 5 things that comes to mind. And see, and then start using it. Because all of these, there are some people that think that you can't assign something a new correspondent. How do you think we got all of the original correspondences to all the things that we use? Eventually, one day, I don't need to forget. I don't remember, LOL. I'm kind of like that too, but the funny thing is, when you start, like, researching and all these things, you may forget it until you need that knowledge, and all of a sudden it pops out of nowhere. But I'm the same way with that. But yeah, that's another energy exercise that not only are you helping forge your own craft, but it's also a great way of kind of throwing some mixture into it. But yes, if you do storm magic, amethyst. My amethyst, I will not charge it under the full moon. Every now and then I will. Most of the time, I charge it during a storm. To Moonstone, but he ain't witchy. He's totally witchy. He's totally witchy. I knew. I follow one blacksmith on TikTok, and he's Norse, so he forges things, but I'd never thought about that. Also, with that, what are your stances on Stump Water? I want to see the answers to this. Because in Appalachia, we also use Stump Water in Appalachian folk magic. If you don't know what Stump Water is, it's literally what it says it is. You know those stumps that you can come across that has like a little gully in it? That water. It is extremely potent for multiple things. But, and here's the difference of cultures and beliefs, and I found this a fucking fantastical. I follow a blacksmith too, but I'm looking into calling some blacksmiths because I want water and ashes. Honestly, I'm right there with you now. I'm like, yep, I need some ashes, I need some metal flakes, and I need some water. Also, thank you for bringing that up because now I'm going to fall down a rabbit hole. But Stump Water, I found out in the UK, it is a big no-no. Oh, cool. But in the UK, it is a no-no because it's deemed Fey territory, so you're not supposed to do it. But in Appalachia, we use it. So that was interesting, and I wanted to see where y'all thinks are. Like, would you not use it due to the fact that it could be Fey related, or would you use it due to the fact that it could be Fey related? I've also heard that you're not supposed to bring it inside. I've also heard, which I need to find out why, you're not supposed to bring, oh, there's a flower. If I need a little extra chaos, I use ashes from Loki's incense to put in spells. Oh, I like that. Oh, what? Magnolias. No, is it magnolias or dog? I think it's dog tree wood. Dog tree flowers. You're not supposed to bring them in and or magnolia flowers. And then, I want to say it's from the UK, or it could be from Ireland and or Scotland. You're also not supposed to bring mistletoe in. I do. I have mistletoe hung up in my, my old craft room. Also, if you do carry in mistletoe, be careful because it is toxic. I have a lot of Celtic and German background, so I would need to learn more, I guess. I don't know much about the Fae. It's also, I hate using the term Fae because it's too much of an umbrella term. I call them either little people and or land spirits. But I personally, I have worked with the Fae, and I've never had any bad reactions. Yes, I've kind of, actually my partner has pissed them off more than I have, and then they just kind of fuck with him. And then I give an offering and everything's okay. But as long as you show them respect, and with that, do not thank them. I do not know why, but do not thank them. Well, I do know why. Don't thank them because they find it very, very rude. You can appreciate them, just do not say thank you. But there are a lot of things Fae can do, or land spirits can do, if you will. And they can do a lot to your practice as well. They can also help you find lost items. And we've talked about, and if y'all would like me to, I can actually do a full-on, like, tutorial on how to do the the fairy landing pad. I would have to be able to get my hands on the book to actually be able to give you the spell that I had, to where basically it's one of the, I want to say it's like the 4th spell that I actually did, which was a fairy godmother wish spell. Primarily, you're calling upon the Fae to help you with the wish. Never heard of Stump Water. Apparently, hold on. I'm saying apparently, and I have 2 books right beside me that goes into it. Let's see. Where are you at? Where are you at? Tell me you're ADHD and forget that you have books with knowledge in it without telling me you're ADHD and forget you have books with knowledge in it. I feel like I have a house spirit that makes us lose things in the house, specifically the remote. If you will, give it an offering of honey and or like milk, and it may stop. So, now I understand why the conversation that I had on TikTok about a specific 2 animals, the reason it got so much confusion. Backwoods Witchcraft book. Coyote/wolf. Protection from enemies, witchcraft, and unwanted guests. A spiritual guard dog. The teeth and claws can be carried for protection. It is called frostbite because it is among a number who stay out in the snow with other consequences. That's the reason that conversation confused everybody. Fae means you owe them a favor. Oh, see, I did not know that. I just thought they found it rude. Alright, come on. I know you're in here. Ah! Aha! Rainwater, creek, river water, ocean, dew water, stump water. Here we go. And I'm also going to read on dew, because I've made multiple videos on collecting dew. I would love a tutorial on Fae work. I've always been curious, but can't decide the right way to go about the interactions. Okay, I definitely will start working on some of the... Not that I'm a Fae expert. Take in mind that. This book is Backwoods Witchcraft, Conjure, and Folk Magic from Appalachia by Jake Richards. Hands down, if you want to learn Appalachian folk magic, this book and his 2nd book, hands down, hands down. This will definitely start you in the right direction. Okay. So, Stump Water, also called Spunk Water due to its sometimes funky smell. Stump Water is ascribed power because it has never been touched. It has never touched the earth and therefore still holds the virtues of the vault of heaven. Just any water from a stump won't do, though. According to a few sources in Appalachian folklore, it has to be collected on a full moon while the moon is reflecting in the water with a silver ladle dipping straight down into it. You must walk backwards to the stump, and you have to be silent from the moment you leave your abode until you return. And then it says, I had an old ladle made of... Okay. Stump Water is a Retribution from... This is the reason so many people are confused. So many people. See, I can't even make a video on what I'm about to say because, and you'll understand. Stump Water and its virtues comes from the Cherokee. In the Summer manuscript by James Mooney, an informational note that a Cherokee elder named Spencer Bird used water scooped from a stump for healing. With water being primarily tool this elder used, stump water was held in high regards in his practice by the Cherokee tribe as a whole. As the water has never touched the ground, it continues to hold the blessings of heaven, and it was called flying water. This is the reason I'm going to struggle so much with being able to make Appalachian folk content, because I would feel wrong if I did not include that, but if I did include that, people would say that it was culture appropriating from the Cherokees. Spirit, when you told me I was going to be a teacher, this is not what I signed up for. Technically, I didn't sign up. I was just kind of pushed into it. But anyways. What other things? Oh, yeah. Dew water. My copy disappeared. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my God. Please tell me you're keeping the video on your channel, because my ADHD test will forget the long title. Yes, I am. Minimize the screen here and look up to the book quick while it's fresh in my mind, and either screenshot it or add it to it if you would while it's you to double check. Yes, this is, I know it's backwards, but this is the book. And I'll also have an Amazon link captured in the thing when I actually do it. Okay, and then we have dew water. A famous ingredient in folk magic across the world, dew has powerful properties as it's Earth's sweat. There's so much interesting shit that I learned on this that I'm going to explain that doesn't cover in this book shortly after this. It's really fucking cool. Let's see. Okay, wash your face with the morning dew before sunrise on the 1st of May. Well, we missed that. For help with skin elements such as rashes, wash your chest and seat with the dew to treat depression or falling back, as Nana calls it. Also, if you see this, please do not use dew water as an antidepressant medication. Please. That's not what they're saying. They're saying that it could help with a daily, monthly regimen with your mental health. How to put that in there. Women who wish to gain affection of a certain love wash their faces, breast, and bits with the dew while saying the person's name, and those women who wish to be heavy with child that year will roll around in the dew in the light of the full moon. I'm not even gonna lie, I want to do that just because it sounds so fucking magical. Like, could you imagine somebody sending you a text? Hey, what you doing? Oh, not much. Rolling around in the night dew up under the full moon. That's like the most witchiest thing I think I've ever heard. Okay, depending on the formula, there we go. Depending on the formula and remedies, as well as their purpose, dew is collected from specific places such as the oldest grave headstone, the arms of a wooden cross, or the grass itself by running the hand to get it or whipping it up from a white handkerchief. Dew is also connected to the belief of old folk illness called dew poisoning. Folks believe that dew could cause sores on the bottom of your feet if you went barefoot. Now, I collect mine from spider webs and or my neighbor's fence because that's the easiest way for me to do it. But in the process of learning about dew, the reason that ancient cultures and all different types of people use this is because, now this is something very witchy. The way that dew is made, it's basically the sweat of a plant, which means the plant that you could collect the dew from not only has the properties of dew, but it also has the essence of the plant you collected it from. Like, that blew my mind. Which means, imagine if you had a hellebore. There we go. Hellebore. If you don't know what hellebore is, it's a plant. The reason, magically speaking, that it's been gaining traction is because apparently whatever you plant next to hellebore basically gets baneful. It kind of from my understanding, it switches the correspondences. So say you did rosemary, or you did roses, or I don't know, lavender. All the properties that those can do in magic now have the exact opposite reaction. So, but imagine if you were to collect dew water from there, or from a rose, or I don't know how you do it, but a rose of Jericho. It is basically the sweat and essence of that flower. And it's cool as fuck, because I'm talking about this dates back to Greece and ancient Egypt. These people understood that way back then. It just blows my fucking mind. But yeah, they're all different. There's rainwater, creek and river water, ocean water, stump water, tobacco juice. Very easy to make. Get tobacco and basically steep it in water. Voila. Easter water, good water, moonshine, and also fire water. Which here on out is just what I'm going to call alcohol for now on. No more spirit. I'm just going to call it fire water. Whiskey, and then tar water, made by steeping pine tar in water for a few days and straining off the excess tar. Tar water is used for cleansing, purging homes and haints, and removing crosses or curses. Looks like I'm going to be collecting pine tar. Wait. No, that's the process. Okay, so if you were to make this, the tar water, I actually suggest you watch a tutorial on how to make that tar, because there are interesting things that you need to know. For one, if you ever want to, and this is personal experience, if you ever want to seal a spell to where nothing on this God's green earth is going to open it, use pine tar, because I did it on a spell jar. And I about almost broke the bitch trying to get it back open. And then I buried it and forgot about it. So I'm pretty sure whenever that land gets found, they're going to find it. But how you were to do that is you would go and collect pine tar or sap. Then, very, very carefully, because if this shit catches on fire, whatever it lands on is also going to catch on fire. And if you get it on your skin, it is not going to be a pleasant experience, because that shit will not come off, especially if it is on fire. But this is a survival technique and native technique as well. But you boil it, or I think you do boil it. You boil it and you get it heated up, and then you wrap it around a stick and it turns black. So what they're saying is do that process and then get that tar and soak it in water, and then use the water to basically, it's like an uncrossing. It can remove haints from your house. It can remove uncrossings and almost in a way purifications. But please do that extremely carefully, and do not do that inside, because when you burn that, it will create soot. You can also use that soot though for black water and or like black paint. Interesting fact, the tattoo that I have right here is also how I made that, except I did not use that. Basically, it was prison done. Not that I did it in prison, but my brother did it when he got out of prison. And basically, that's how they do it. They mix soot and certain inks together, and basically mix them together and tattoo. And yeah, it's still there today. No, you are not going to see it, because it's one of my ex's names. And yes, I know how stupid that is. But I've also had a lot of people like, why are you not going to remove it? That was a chapter of my life. Why do I want... I'm not going to rip out that chapter. Why? But anyways, yes. Tar water can be very, very great. Also, start working with your trees. Each tree... this personal belief of mine, but I believe each tree... they have their own secrets, and they can teach you things. Like, the very first tree, and it's one of my all-time favorite trees that I've always been connected to. Well, actually, I had 3 favorite trees. A weeping willow, a cypress tree, and an oak tree. Any type of oak tree, I love. And this is why. And if y'all would like me to share this, I can. I'll have to post it in a short, because it is out of one of the 2000-ish Spell-A-Day Almanacs by Llewellyn's. It's actually one of the first books that I got on witchcraft, besides The Wiccan for Beginners. Anyways, there's a spell in there to where you use oak tree and you use some vines and a stick, and basically it's a spell to help you gain your own authority, not on other people, but in yourself. And it helps you to remind you of how strong you actually are. And that's one of the reasons I love the oak tree, especially like water oaks, the giant or century oaks, the ones that can literally be centuries years old. I fucking love that. If you ever get a chance to go visit one of these trees, there are some in Alabama, Florida, I'm pretty sure all up along the coast. There are these giant oak trees. The oldest one that I'm aware of that we have, I could be wrong, um, it was here before the Declaration of Independence was even signed and or made. And the bitch is huge. But the energy that you can feel from that, the knowledge that that tree can teach you is fucking insane. And trust me, when you connect to a tree, you will. And how I do that, it also kind of stems from if you grew up not really southern, because I think this is kind of all over the world, but you've heard that saying, knock on wood so you don't jinx yourself. That came from originally, I believe I think the druids believed that each tree had spirits. In order to wake that tree up, you had to knock on it. So when I give offerings and or if I work or even stand tall with the tree, I will knock 3 times and place my hand there. And there's a spot on my tree that I've done that so much over the years, my hand naturally just fits there now. And then also knock 3 times and like tell them you're done. But if you are having a really low moment or you've kind of lost your strength, you've lost your spunk, find a tree. It doesn't have to be an oak tree, but find one. You don't have to hug it, but knock on it and try to connect with that energy. And I'm telling you, the force that you will feel behind you. And the reason this is mycelium. What is mycelium, you ask? Basically, it's the thing that connects all root systems together. Yes, you heard me right. Trees and nature are so fucking smart. Everything is connected through the mycelium, right? But we've recently learned, well, I recently learned something, that using the mycelium can actually basically say you have a sick tree in a forest. The mycelium will actually push nutrients away from that tree or possibly completely cut it off from the surrounding trees for it not to get sick. Or if there's a tree that needs more nutrients, it will actually redivert the nutrients from other trees around it to get to this one. So all the trees, all the bushes, all the grass, not I'm assuming grass, primarily trees and bushes and shrubs, they're all connected. Literally all connected. So, like, imagine if all the witches came together to do a healing spell, right? For the earth. But instead of burning candles and incense, we all gathered around a tree all over the world and connected to that tree, which therefore in turns connected it to the mycelium, which therefore in turns connected to the entire fucking world. Talk about a healing spell. Would it do much? I don't know, but it's a cool idea. Like, it's almost in a way, it's like an avatar. I love the idea of like how they connect to humans. Imagine if we could do that. Like, the possibilities are fucking endless. Also, if you go to a new forest and you want to connect with that forest, mushrooms and mycelium. Go to the mushrooms, go to the mycelium, which I don't think you're actually going to be able to find the mycelium, but go to the trees, the mushrooms, and the roots, and talk to them. Introduce yourself. Sit down and have an old chat. And I'm telling you, the effects that it will have on you are fucking incredible. Now, I am going to share a story. It's not mine, but it's something I got to experience by proxy. So, a person I used to know had, I don't even think I can actually remember what it was called. They had a thing where their brains, it was due to an injury, where their brains did not associate emotions with faces. So, like, every time he saw his family, he knew who they were, but he had no attachment to them whatsoever. So, like, he could hang out with you for, like, a week straight and then not see you for a week straight, and it would be like he's being introduced to a new person. So he went to one of these old oak trees, these century oak trees, and he connected with the tree spirit. And he offered a, a gift in exchange for taking that away. He went back to the doctor about 2 months after that, and the doctors were fucking astounded because he no longer had it. So there are a lot of things that you can do with trees. Now, with that being said, please do not go to a tree and like anything to do with mental health. That can get you down dangerous things. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying though, is there is a way to have a healthy mental health regimen, depending on what your doctors and stuff say, and then also incorporate daily practices in with that can also help your spirit and your soul as you're trying to heal your mind from the depression. And I do this multiple times a day because not only do I have depression, I have bipolar manic depression, or so I was diagnosed with, which means I don't just have, I can have manic or depressive episodes that last anywhere from 2 months to up to 2-3 years. And instead of like waking up and going manic, I may have a slip out where like I'm normal. Like right now, I'm kind of normal. I'm kind of balanced right now. But those days that I do wake up, I have certain things that I will do. For one, I will use a little bit of Florida water right here and then right here. After that, I'll use some type of herbal mixture just to burn, just for me to smell that in the air. Then I have multiple playlists, primarily on YouTube Music, but I have playlists that it's music that just brings me up. It lifts my spirits up. And then, sorry to my neighbors, I will sing to the top of my lungs. Whether that takes an hour, whether it takes 4 fucking hours, that's what I will do. And it helps, especially if you're like me and you spend a lot of the time alone, and in the process of that, you get stuck in your head, and then it's very, very, really, really hard to get out of your head. That can help you get out of your head. And then, contrary to other beliefs, if you're like me, if you talk to yourself, for one, you're not crazy. For two, you're not stupid. You're actually intelligent, because talking to ourselves is a problem-solving technique. So talking to yourself actually shows intelligence, like high intelligence. And I do that all the time. I have full-on conversations with myself. I have full-on conversations with my spirits. I've even had full-on conversations with my cat. Bubbers. Yeah, right, Bubbers. Now, will he ever answer me back? There have been multiple times he's answered me back, not talking, obviously. But these are things that you can do to break out of those moments. And on windy days, if you're having one of those moments and you're at work or you're somewhere to where you can't just meditate, if it's windy, walk outside and imagine everything that is causing these issues to completely blow away. And if you smoke cigarettes or smoke other things, you can also use the visualization of the physical smoke of blowing your problems away. And these are things that you can do. Is it going to magically fix you? No, but it's going to be a crutch. It will help you get out of it. Not to mention, if you start doing these things repetitively on a daily basis, you know what else happens? Your body picks it up and it becomes routine. Once it becomes routine, you no longer have to think about it. You're just doing it. That's also what we mean in witchcraft or with practitioners when we say daily rituals. That doesn't mean that daily ritual could literally just be getting up, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, throwing some water on your face, and then sitting down drinking coffee and talking to your ancestors. That in itself is a ritual. See, and that's what I mean by some of these terms. When people use them, they think it's this elaborate ritual. No. Self-love, it can be taking a break from an app. It can be ignoring everybody around you except for who is in your house. It's not selfishness. It's called self-love. And especially now, more than ever, we need that. We need self-love and to be able to completely just check the fuck out. And it's one of the reasons I love podcasts. Believe it or not, due to my ADHD and due to a fact of how addicting certain things are, like TikTok or other apps, or just having the phone in my hand scrolling through, that's why I love podcasts. Because with a podcast, I can pop my headphones or turn on my little speaker and connect it, turn it to the charger, and completely walk the fuck away from my phone. That way I'm not worrying about, because I'm that type of person due to my anxiety. When I get a message or a text message, I have to respond right then and there, only because I know how it feels to have a burning question and then nobody answer it or get back to you or leave you on red. So I tend to like answer right away. And sometimes it gets overwhelming. I have my Discord. I've joined multiple other Discords. I have emails, notifications. And sometimes, with your phone constantly going off, it can get very, very just like too much. Take a break. Pop a podcast on. They have podcasts now that if you don't want to hear about witchcraft and spirituality, they have fucking full-on stories. There's a mythology one that goes over world mythologies and breaks them down to where they're extremely easy to understand and they're extremely relatable. One of the things that I've recently been doing, only because, well, I haven't really watched shows like that. Everybody remember when like Discovery Channel and like the Animal Planet and there was the Travel Channel, I think, where they actually had like the veterinarian shows, or they had all these travel shows where it was regular people just going and like crystal hauling or, visiting this place. We have Disney Plus, not for much longer because Motherland is coming back to Hulu very soon. So I'll be switching over. But there's this Alaskan veterinarian, and I love watching it because, for one, I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was younger. I fucking love animals. But on top of that, I'm getting to see parts of Alaska that I've never even knew existed. And then to be able to see how their communities work and like how isolating it can be. Like I saw a 73-year-old woman who lived on a small island with her dog, and that's it. Like, it's fucking mind-blowing. And I know that randomly got away from me, but y'all know how the lives are. But anything can be self-love. And a lot of people are like, well, we're seeing all these videos on all platforms about, like, people doing spells and rituals every fucking day. In an ideal world, that's great. But we also have to look at it as we're all different. And we're not all going to do that. And contrary to what a lot of other people say, I do believe that the deities, the gods and goddesses, the ancestors, the spirits you work with, they understand that we are perfectly imperfect humans. We have elements that affect our daily lives. And I believe they understand that. Shit, I know they understand that because at a moment that I was very, very low, I got 3 readings done by 3 different people. And they all said the same thing. Like, look, you're doing great. Stop beating yourself up. Continue going. And here I am. And that's one of the reasons that, like, when it comes to TikTok and how I look, I may, like, throw something on it, throw a little makeup on right there. But other than that, I'm showing people that we don't always have energy to get up and throw makeup on and, like, look our fabulous. No, we don't. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay, especially in the fucking world right now that we're going in. But with that, we don't have to sit there and just, kind of fester in it. And I know that's hard. I do it a lot. Trust me, if I'm not talking to somebody on a day, my brain will go through it, and my brain's like, all right, so we got 15 minutes to go through a central life crisis. Let's go. But you have to find ways to stop that. And when it comes to anxiety, or when it comes to spiraling is what I call it, there are ways that you have to reteach your brain to do it. If you have negative thoughts or intrusive thoughts, try to figure out a way that every single time you start to have one, you'll notice it, do something physical, whether it's a movement or something like that, and then go on to something else. What that's going to do over and over again is you're going to teach your brain, as soon as you have one of those thoughts, it will automatically reflect your mind. Now, it's not easy. Trust me. I do it on a daily basis, and it slowly has been working. All the things that I say in these videos about, like, how I look at life, like, yeah, I may have a bad day or two bad days, but I'll never say, why me? Why not me? I'm not God. Why should I be on a pedestal versus everybody else? It humbles me, but it also teaches me that, yeah, we're going to have good days and bad days. We're going to have good moments and bad moments. But as long as you process what you're doing before you react to a situation, you're going to, it's just going to kind of be better. And again, if y'all were to have seen me before I even started these, I used to be a very, very angry person. due to the fact that it was misplaced trauma and misplaced emotions with not being able to understand how to healthily communicate how I feel. And now I'm here to where I no longer have outbursts, or if I do start to, I know my signs to step away from a conversation. I know if somebody pisses me off online, even if I record a video, that's fine, but I won't post it. And sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we have to make a 25-minute video ranting and yelling just to be able to get it out of us. Because if you hold on to that energy, it is like a scorpion, or it's like poison. It's like a scorpion stabbing itself. When you hold on to things like that, whether that's what this person said or how this person made you feel, if you hold on to it, not only are you giving up your own power and you're giving it to them by letting somebody dictate how you feel, you're also going to hold on to that. And what's going to happen is it's going to fester and fester and fester. And then it's just going to go everywhere. You're poisoning yourself by holding on to it. So release that. Let that out. Write a letter. Fucking film a video and then delete it. Don't send it to the person. Just delete it. Write down. Scribble it out. And then burn it. And it works. I will say it really does work. And a lot of people, some people will kind of shut off when they hear the term mental health and witchcraft. They go hand in hand, and the reason that is because if you're not in a healthy mental space, that is going to affect your craft and your magic. Now, I know a lot of people's in the situation that I'm in, where we live in the state of Florida. Florida fucks you when it comes to trying to get disability. How is that? For one, you have to be working in order to qualify for Medicaid. You have to be working, but you can't work to get on disability. To initially get on it, you cannot, right? But you also need insurance to go to a doctor to get recent medical records stating you are disabled. But then again, you can't. But wait, there's more. The problem is, I worked at Circle K. I tried to get I tried to get Medicaid through them. They told me that I was making about $2 to $3 more than I should be. What am I supposed to do? Go to my boss and be like, yo, I need you to cut my check like $3. No. So I eventually, after moving on to like 2 other jobs, and I got to a point where I cannot work, I applied for Medicaid. And guess what? I'm not working, so therefore I don't qualify. There are multiple other states that are like that, to where there's a loop that repeats and repeats when it comes to that. So no, I do not have a therapist besides my partner and my ancestors. Wow, that sounded weird. I have my own medicine that works for me. Y'all know what that is if y'all been following me for a while, and double check your own things. You know, I'm not encouraging anybody to do what helps with me. What I have from my mental health regimen helps for me. Exercise. Exercise is great. I have agoraphobia, so I have a hard time going actually outside. What I've slowly started to do when I first got diagnosed with it is I do have a porch, but it's no longer screened in because we haven't replaced the screens from when the storm system like blew through. So I'm still exposed, but the way it is, there's space to where literally you only just see my head. And I had to sit out there with headphones in, and I had to sit there and tell myself, you're okay. You're okay. And now I'm to a point to where I can walk out in the yard. Of course, I have good days and bad days, but there are days where I will literally just completely walk away from my phone. I won't even bring it with me. If I do, I'll bring it to a window just in case like somebody calls. And I will walk outside. I won't meditate, but I'll just sit down and kind of just close my eyes and listen to nature. Take in the heat of the sun. Take in that warm or cool breeze that you're feeling. Listen to the birds. Listen to the birds sing. Listen to what different types of birds there are. These can be meditations. Why? Especially for somebody with ADHD. We're not going to be able to sit down and be like, no, we can't do that. But if you're using your sound, your hearing, to randomly jump around, you're going to be focusing on those birds, right? Also, when you're doing that, try to connect with them on a spiritual level. So see, and eventually it will calm you down. If you're having anxiety attacks or panic attacks, I do not know if this works, but I'm going to try it the next time I go through one. Salt can help, like peanuts. Sweet thing or sour things like warheads can help. Supposedly, if you pop one in right before one, it will like mess your senses up and it'll actually prevent you from having one. The most recent one that I learned, if you wake up and you feel anxious, like in your chest, and you want that to go away, submerge your hands in either warm water and or cold water, and apparently that sensation goes from your chest into your fingers, and then it just goes away. So those are all things that you can do on a daily basis that may help. And then if you have a friends group, but we also know how depression is, where we like it builds up on us, and we're like, oh, we're just gonna get in their way. Create something to where instead of sending an actual full-on text message, send an emoji. Depending on the emojis y'all send, or depending on how people are doing. It's like a check-in. You don't have to have a conversation when you're checking in. Just getting a notification or a text message from someone just saying, yo, I hope you're doing all well. I hope you're doing well. That's all people need. And I've been trying to do that more, way more than I should have. But I've been trying to, and I've been getting better at it. But I guarantee you, though, if you start doing some of these techniques, and now with that, you don't have to do them exactly how I describe them. Like I've always said when it comes to my content, if my content inspires you, take that, run with it, and change it. Add your own spin to it. It's like a family recipe that gets passed down year by year, and then every time it gets passed down, somebody adds something new to it. And what happens? It starts getting better and better and better. Easy things like this. Also, for my ADHD people, I had an English teacher actually on TikTok tell me this, and I never thought about it. If you have a hard time reading a book and actually fully comprehending everything in there and remembering it, a trick that they said that they do in their class, which I fucking love this because I'm also I have dyslexia and dysnomia, but try to get an audio version with the physical book. That way, as you're reading, play the podcast or play the episode or play the audio. That way, you're it's kind of like in school where like you're reading along with the teacher. It may help. I haven't tried it yet. I want to actually see, because like I've read this book. Actually, I remember a lot of things in this book. The only problem is I have a hard time actually actually like tapping into that. There we go. Sashay. Holy shit. I am so sorry, y'all. I am so sorry. I had no idea any of these comments were going. Backwoods Witchcraft is amazing. Oh my god. Why did that happen? I promise y'all I've not been ignoring y'all. For some reason on my end, none of the comments were showing, so I just thought people were listening. Page 75 minimum screen here and look up the book quick while it finishes the mind and either screenshot it. I really need to learn about elements and land spirits. Speaking with Cherokee, if it is from the earth, it can be used. Just don't use their actual practices like smudging and cleaning. Oh, I agree with that 100%. 100% on that. I have so many screenshots from books from TikTok. I do too. So many. Backwoods Witchcraft is amazing. And it's on audiobook. I wasn't impressed with the second one. My husband liked it. I had mixed feelings with the second one. But that may just be because the first one was so good, I kind of expected that too. Not saying the second one's not good, but I have mixed feelings. I'll rewatch the video later. Yes! Normal water, LOL. When I'm depressed, I would totally forget as treatment. I probably would too. I have to have, in order for me to have a treatment like that, I have to have it set out to where I see it every day. It's actually not backwards. Oh! So I just did something impulsive since we were talking about foraging water and foraging ash. I found a blacksmith and will give some, and they will make an item on their website just for me. Oh, cool! You can do tar off a highway or road opener too. Oh, I never thought about that! You can also make biodegradable spell jars from pine needles. Oh, you're talking about when they weave it together. Or tie it together? I never thought about that with the pine needles. I have a baby weeping willow in my house, and it started Butterling if he leaves. I'm very connected to it. Oh! Would you possibly want glass from where a violent crime happened? Actually, yeah. I could use that for multiple reasons. Really heavily on the ivy that grows in my house. I can see how many psychics is doing it, how it grows through the summer. My husband hates it. Oh, I love ivy. Patches, I would lose powerful hacks. It would be, though, my personal perception. Well, yeah, I didn't figure you'd be using it for good purpose, but it was asking for Lotus if they would want some. Of course, I know where to get it. ADHD and BPD here. Sound cleansing is what grounds me. Sorry. No, you're good. I wasn't upset. I'm doing good today. Same. I love true crime podcasts too. I listen to Three Spooked is it Two Spooked Girls or Three Spooked Girls? I meditate on a treadmill. I love that. That right there is a perfect way of meditating too. Exercise is a lot of people's meditation. My daughter swears by sour candies. I've got to try it. I still haven't tried it yet. I listen to music while reading, and it helps me focus on what I'm reading. Kind of goes along with the same lines as subbing on TV show without subtitles. Take nothing at all. Exactly, exactly. And again, I'm so sorry. I have no idea why like all the comments just disappeared and would not pop back up. So hopefully they will continue to pop up if y'all leave them. Fuck, I was about to say something. Oh, another thing. If you're learning tarot cards, and if you have, I don't know if Siri does this, but I know Android phones do it with the Google Assistants. Most of the major arcanas, you can easily just ask Google, like, hey Google, what is the Chariot reversed? And it will actually read it out to you what the core meanings are with most of them. And I do it because with the tarot deck that I have, the Wild Unknown, how I actually, how I've been using them is I take the minor arcana away and I only use the major arcanas to see how everything is going. And in the process of me doing that and me like asking Google to bring up the basic meanings of them, I've slowly been able to actually start remembering what each card means. So there's definitely a trick too that I've learned that works very well. And then with hexing, cursing, or anything like that, hands down the best way if you think you are besides an egg cleansing. I don't even like the match thing where you strike a match, you strike two matches, throw it down if it touches. No. Shout out to Witch Bomb who showed this, which is you can do this with playing cards too. You do not have to have just tarot cards. But with a tarot deck, you are going to take out all the major arcanas and place those aside. You're going to shuffle those cards, the minor arcanas, as much as possible, right? Then you are going to make 3 piles of 10 cards. But here's the thing. You're going to lay them down, count out to 10, but stop when you get to an ace on each deck. So, if you get 1 ace, somebody's talking shit about you, that's it. If you get 2 aces, somebody's talking shit about you, and possibly threw something your way, but it did not stick. 3 basically means that you are either A, something major has been thrown your way, and it did stick and or is currently working, and or... I just thought you were on a rant, honestly. No, I'm sorry. And or it basically means somebody has thrown something to you or they're currently working on you. I have done that so many times, just to kind of like check it out. Because with me, I like to break stuff down. And I still haven't figured it out. With tarot cards, there's a specific set. There are 78, I believe. So mathematically and statistically, I want to know what are the odds of you getting those, because we've all had readings where we reshuffled the entire deck and then we got the exact same cards. I want to know what the like percentage is of that, of the odds of happening with it. And then if you do get 3 of the aces on all 3 things, that basically means that you should do some type of cleansing, Return to Sender. We actually had a conversation in the Discord with Return to Sender spells because I always thought that Return to Sender spells were specifically for magic. But here recently, I've been seeing people use them for mundane logics too. And I don't know how I feel about that, but it's very interesting. Um, but yeah, that has definitely worked for me. Um, and I also love it, especially when the only thing you get is like people's talking shit about you. And I'm like, okay, thank you for giving me power. See, that's why I'm never offended if I do hear people talking about me. Um, unless, depending on what they're talking about, but they're giving you power. So if you have somebody that's a bully, like, online, and they keep making shit about you, for the glass, I can send it to you, hun. You have to find me on TikTok, and I can figure out where to send it. LOL. Okay, hold on. Let me... Actually, let me take a screenshot really quick so I can actually remember that, because I don't have a pen. There we go. Also, if somebody can somebody message me really quick and tell me to check the screenshot so I can look that person up? Because if not, I'm going to completely forget that it's there. I did not bring my pen and notebook with me like I should have. But, yes, now with that also being said, trigger warning for what I'm about to say for self-harm. If you used to, and you still have the things that can be used in your practice. Hello! That is very, very special and definitely can be used in your practice with that. Now, I learned that from my beloved, Tiptoe Chick. Rest in peace, I miss you so much. And if y'all haven't, if you're ever bored and you want to watch good content, go check out, oh my god, brain. Why are you crashing on me right now? But go check her out. Tiptoe Chick. There we go. I use a lot of wards and spirit helpers to keep my protected. I know something being thrown at me. I'm very weird about that because, like, when it comes to my, like, if somebody's trying to break through my wards, I know. And before I say this, I'm not trying to sound cocky at all, but I actually haven't had that many people try to throw something on me until I joined a specific app. And the last time it happened, 2 times recently, when I got stung in the fucking face by a wasp, basically a shut the fuck up spell, so I pissed somebody off with something. And it's also, we don't normally have wasp around here, and it wasn't there when I threw the pants on the line to dry. It was not there, and literally bitch popped out of nowhere and hit me in the face and stung me. The second time, we were out and about, and out of fucking nowhere, because I have anxiety disorder, yes, but with agoraphobia, we have this thing where it's like it's like a sensory overload, but it's like an episode, it's like an attack. So out of nowhere, been having an amazing day, I was medicated, going about my business, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like, it hit me like a fucking freight train, and I almost had to go sit out in the car versus going into the store that we were going to. And I looked at my partner, and I was like, something's not right. Like, this is not normal. And I did not know why at that point in time, why I said that. 2 days after that, I was sent these skull candles. I have 2 of them. And when I woke up that morning, my brain was just like, you need to burn the skull candle. And I'm like, okay, I have a sense of what I'm doing, but let's see. And it was supposed to be an unblock. Unblock any blockages that I have mentally. In the process of that, it actually became a road opener because it split the candle in half, and the way that it bled out, basically somebody had tried laying stuff on me, and then I did, well, I'm not going to say what I did, but I did multiple other things after that. And that's what I don't get when it does come to the witchy community, when people just randomly throw hexes and spells, and I'm like, who taught you what you're supposed to be doing? Because I understand everybody's going to be different, but if you're a type of witch who, if somebody pisses you off in the comments, you're going to throw a hex, you don't need to be in witchcraft because you're going to fuck your life up very, very fast. I started using a diabetic finger pricker in my practice so that I won't self-harm when I need blood. That is what I have as well. With me and self-harming, I no longer do it, and the only times, the most extreme times is I do, or when I do it, It's in a place it's on a place on my body because I researched this to where I'm not in any threat of or anything like that doing hardcore damage. But I used to be able to, it would pull me out of my episodes with like my depression and stuff. Primarily with my anxiety attacks or panic episodes, but I've completely gotten away from it. So now the only time that I will actually offer up blood is if I have a scratch or a cut or a nick, or like a scab or something like that. Just because I haven't actually been able to get my hands on the diabetic prickers. Now with that, I want to see, before I say this, this is not technically my spell, and I don't know if this person created it, but I've been using it. I also tweaked it. Would anybody be interested in me doing a video on a very, 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 very powerful 3-day, well, hold on, let me rephrase that. Okay, so I came across a spell that it's a 3-day blood prophecy spell. What I mean by blood prophecy spell is you have to give a tiny amount of blood. But the original spell was to be created for 3 days, for a 3-day time period. What you say comes to fruition. It comes to reality. With this, please do not go into thinking you're going to be able to do this and be like, I house a millionaire and I fucking win the lottery. No, it doesn't work like that. Some of these people who throw baneful magic upper comments, they need thicker skins. They really do. They 100% do. With these, though, with this particular spell, the reason that I don't know if I want to do a video on it, because there's a reason you need to use blood. Which is, that's where some of the energy source is coming from. So if you're not careful, you will burn yourself out on a physical level. But I tweaked it because, you know, me and my tweaking spells and experimenting and shit, I made it to where it acts more along the lines of a mojo bag and or honey jar. What do I mean? Not the manifestation part of a honey jar, but instead of having to repeat this over and over and over and over again every time you do it, I created, if anybody has ever watched the the Vampire Diaries, the show, Elena's Locket necklace, I got one of those out of the shop that I used to work at, and it actually opens up. So I basically took that prophecy spell, but turned it into a locket that can be fed repetitively. Now, before I go into that, I would also make a very detailed video on the dangers of blood magic and or working with dried blood. One of them being hep. You can get hep from dried blood. There are a lot of safety measures that go into working with blood magic. There are a lot of things you should do, and there are a lot of things you should not do. When involving blood in magic, there are only specific certain things where blood applies to it, because you are giving your purest of pure energetic beings into that. Which means, okay, fuck it. A lot of people have heard the, like, generational curses and stuff like that. Those curses who actually fully are affected, a lot of the times, blood magic is involved. But blood magic can also, if you are not careful, it can open up to other things that will be drawn to that on a spiritual, energetic level, if you understand what I'm trying to say. But it can be extremely powerful. You can use, blood magic with self-love. I would not use blood in a love spell, because that's how you're going to get a psycho attached to you. But yeah, and obviously, if you are a... Can I say that without it coming offensive? It should not be offensive. If you are a female, and you go through that cycle, there are a lot of things that you can look up if you've never heard of it. And before I say this, I hate the society that we live in right now, because I'm having to filter so many things. I was told and heard it was called the red tint ceremony. But now thinking about that, I don't know if that came from native and or if other cultures have also done it. but it is a sacred ceremony for the womb, if you will. And for females that do that, that is very, very, very powerful blood. Personally, I don't use baneful magic unless a person truly deserves it. Downstairs neighbors trying to get us evicted for no reason, calling the cops for a weed smell when I don't smoke. Oh, what the fuck? Thank you, Mother Nature, for just slinging my clothes everywhere. But I'm the same way. And the reason that is, for one, and let me make this very clear, I do not believe in karma. Karma is not a Western thing. Karma is not a Western thing, so I do not believe in karma. With that being said, do I believe that in some aspect the energy that we send out can be reflected back to us? Yes. I call it, though, the ripple effect, which is no matter how big or small a stone is, if I throw it in a river, a pond, or a lake, it's still going to cause the same effect, which is it's going to cause that, it's going to shoot the water up, and then it's going to cause the ripple effect, right? So with that being said, the most important thing that I was ever taught by the 1 to 2 mentors that I had, blood magic tends to make things permanent. Yes, that is 100% true as well. So if you ever want to do, which is another conversation we're going to have, I'm sorry, y'all, I know this is long. One day I'm hopefully going to be able to go in here and edit some of these to where get the main points across. I had a friend who did a love spell with blood, and he had to sacrifice so much of his life to break that bond. Yep. That's also how it works, too. But with the baneful magic and what I was taught, go through every mundane route possible before you go to throwing a hex or a curse. And with the hex or curse for baneful magic, and I know some people will not agree with this, but I do. I believe a lot of spells, or if I were to do a baneful working, it's not going to be permanent. Why is that? Imagine that energy. Imagine you actually cursing somebody and making their lives. Now, depending on this always goes with depending on what that person did. Like, I'm not going to curse somebody who called me ignorant in a comment or who got pissed at me because of a video. That's just a waste of time, and it also shows that the person is not mature as a witch. To me, that's still in, like, your teenage years where, like, the entire world hates you. But in reality, I mean, yeah, it does, but you understand what I mean by that. So, with that logic, Retribution Spells. A Retribution Spell is a spell that, if worked right, the same thing, the same situation is going to repeat itself over and over and over and over and over until that person learns, oh shit, wait, I should not be doing this. I'm going to learn from this and never do it again. Versus, I'm going to throw a hex on you. Oh, you got a flat tire. That's a slap on a wrist. But with that, always I would have an expiration date on said spell work. Versus you putting somebody in a bottle, and what happens if you randomly put somebody in a bottle, you go on vacation, something happens, and then you move, and you no longer have access to said bottle. My ex-sister-in-law, their family was very witchy. In multiple ways. Hey, we're having fun. Okay, good. I always think that, like, I make these too long, but I love doing this. It's like holding an actual class almost, but everybody is equal to me, and if not above me. I love it. But I had a sister-in-law who was into some, I was going to say dark, but it's not even sinister. I'll say sinister. They weren't evil or anything like that, but there was a house across the street from theirs, and they wanted to get it, but they couldn't because somebody else came in and snuck in at the last moment and got it. So she did a working on the person and on the house. They moved out. They were evicted. That house is still up for sale to this day because she did not think that it would also affect the property as well, and for some reason nobody will get it, and when they do get it, they only stay a few weeks and then they move out. So, and with the blood in the comment, with blood tends to make things permanent, and like the other comment, you were going to have to sacrifice a lot to be able to undo that. And with me, when I say baneful magic or curses and hexes, there's this kind of slight tag on that comes with that, which is, oh, well, in order to do that, you must work with demons or all these other things. And I'm like, no, I do not. I would never call upon a demon to hex somebody. Now, with that being said, one of the fucked up things that I've ever done, that's why I love mirror boxes. Yes, same. I do not have one right now, but I'm planning on making one. I have a binding box that's kind of the same way, minus the mirror. Or in... Well, yeah, it's kind of the same thing, except for it doesn't reflect it back. It just kind of contains the energy. Oh, Mrs. Hawk is up there. Hello, Mrs. Hawk or Mr. Hawk. I've got to figure out the sexes, so I can identify them. But here's a story about what happens when you think you know what you're doing and you think you know what you're interacting with. In reality, you do not. So, I was about 13. Actually, no, it was about 12 or 13. And there was this kid that I used to hang out with all the time at school. Now, if you've joined my lives before, you already know the other side to this. But there's a story that I did not tell with this person. Me and this person were good friends. This person was kind of that, like, kid that, well, you would see him on the news if you understood what I mean. He had a very, very hard life, and his environment was kind of setting him up for failure. I don't believe he failed. I'm pretty sure I hope he's doing great now. But anyways, our friendship went from being a friendship to a lot of fucked up shit happened. So at that point in time, I was also trying to figure out what I was working with. And what I mean, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. When I first started working, I called upon 5 energies. I'm not going to say all of them, but the Crow, the Raven, a witch from the Salem witch trials, and 2 other historical people. I would call upon them versus using a deity or a god or goddess. I don't know why, I don't know where that came from, but that was what I used to do. But I also started working with this energy. And in return with this energy, as long as I gave offerings, I basically got anything I wanted to do. Anything I wanted to happen on a realistic scale as an 11, 12, 13-year-old, right? And it's true. I got every single thing I wanted. There was a family member that was staying with us that I did not like for multiple reasons. That person went away. And it wasn't until this particular incident that I realized that I'd fucked up, which is me and my ex-friend had a fight. I was stupid in the moment, so I called upon my little energy that I was working with to take care of him. He fell down a flight of stairs shortly after. He's okay. He didn't break anything. Yeah, he was pushed and or fell down a flight of stairs at school. And that was when I realized what I was working with was not what it appeared to be that I was working with. It took me 2.5 years to fully sever that connection, a shit ton of pain and a shit ton of loss to actually fully sever myself from that. There's a lot of shit that I did when I was younger because I thought I knew what I was doing. In reality, I did not. There are a lot of deals that I made that I have fully paid off and do not touch on or speak on really ever again. But I also think a lot of witches go through this point in time to where they kind of do get to or at least in the beginning. Now, on the other hand, I'm very, very aware of what is energy that I don't want to mess with versus what is energy that I do want to mess with. And that is very, very key to realize when performing magic and working with spirits. You've got to be able to see through a trickster's eyes to make sure they're not tricking you. If that makes any sense. I think that made sense. Now, with that being said, that was a very dramatic way of closing this out. And on the person that I was talking about, I have no idea. I have not seen them since we moved out of that town. I'm hoping everything is good and Gucci on their side. But yeah, with that being said, I am going to go because I need to get something in my belly. And I've also got to open a couple of these windows. And then I've got like 3 things that I've got to start prepping for. But yeah, thank you for everybody who has tuned in and watched this very long live. With that being said, I don't know if I'm going to go live tomorrow because I don't know what's going to happen. Fridays are always like up in the air. If my partner's off, which he probably will not be because spring is here, then more than likely I will go live if I'm still here. If I'm out and about, I won't, but I will let everybody know either on my Facebook page or a short on here and or through TikTok. I will be making that video though on the War Water and Jericho water and kind of how to construct that. Um, with that being said, with the War Water, if you cannot find coffin nails, you can use any type of old rusty nail. Preferably the older and the rustier, the better, but I'd agree. I mean, you can easily go to a store and buy fresh nails and just rust them very easily too. And I want to say vinegar will help with that a lot. I think it's vinegar. Because there are one or two things that like most people have in their kitchen that if they add it to metal, it will rust like that. But yeah, I think that's going to be it. I will be doing that video today and hopefully a few other ones. If it's not posted today, then more than likely what I'm going to wind up doing is making a few videos throughout the weekend, and periodically posting them throughout next week. So yeah, I think that's going to be it though. Like I said, thank y'all everybody for joining me, having the conversation. Also, sorry about the comment issue. But yeah, until then, I will talk to y'all later and I will see y'all later. Peace.